Welcome to Crafty Little Beach. This is Julie. Today I have a Dollar Tree DIY for you. This is the tier tray that I'm decorating today. It's my round woodwind. I'm going to use some of this wired garland from the Dollar Tree. I love it because it's got like little white buds and little green leaves. And this was so easy. I just wrapped it around, cut it down to size, and winded it upon each other. I didn't need to hot glue it or anything to attach it to my tier tray. And I told you I love this sign so much that I bought two, right? So I might as well use both. But it's too big for a tier tray. But these new signs from the Dollar Tree are perfect for all of my tier trays. They fit perfectly. Like I use them kind of horizontally on the tops, but vertically on the bottom, they still fit. They have those in all different colors, like white, black, the wood. And so I'm going to use this canvas and put it on that little blocky Dollar Tree sign to make a smaller tier tray sign for my bird tier tray. So same thing, I'm just having to remove the canvas from the frame that's on there. And be sure to save your sawtooth hangers that are on the back of your canvases because they are great little hammer-in hangers for other DIYs. Just trying to get my corners out. Sometimes a pair of pliers can come in handy there. And all I'm going to use on the canvas is the bird part. I thought we can make a cute little bird sign for the top of my tier tray. And this was kind of my inspiration piece for my entire bird tier tray DIYs. Kind of going to go with this kind of color scheme and theme for the whole tray. So I just draw that out with an ink pen on the back of the canvas, and this canvas is so easy to cut. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it down to size. I got a pretty good job done there, but I do want you to kind of see that brown wood slightly around the edges. So I'm going to go down and just trim down the sides just a little bit so that you're going to be able to see a little bit of that brown wood peek through, because I'm going to be using a lot of that color wood. I want it really a very rustic spring tier tray. So I think that looks pretty good like that. And so we're ready to put this together. We're just going to simply put Mod Podge on the back of the canvas. I probably used way too much. I always do. The Mod Podge comes out, and so it's so thin. It always comes out too quickly for me. And a Mod Podge that to the front of our sign. Just going to use that baby wipe to kind of smooth that out, kind of clean up all of the excess, but also using some of it to seal the top of the little bird sign too. And as you can see, I still had more glue in there when I kind of scrape it down. So I'm going to scrape that, kind of clean up the excess Mod Podge. I had way too much. And then I'm going to go over the top of it and just seal it down some more. And it's so pretty. I love the sign. Once I got it all glued down and dried, I decided I kind of wanted to go with that groove that's in it and kind of cut it to look like two different boards, right? So I'm kind of feeling in the canvas exactly where I need to cut, and then just going in with my razor blade and kind of cutting that canvas down where I can kind of make it look like two parts to kind of give the little sign some more character. Trying to open it up a little bit, and then I'm going to go in with a sanding sponge from the Dollar Tree and sand it to kind of make it look rustic and make sure you can kind of see that seam in there. Just a little fun detail to make your sign look a little bit more rustic. And these blue colors are perfect to go with my coastal theme of my house. It looks really cute together. So that's our first DIY for our little bird tier tray, and I'll show you how I put that together once we're done with all of the DIYs. But this is how it turned out. Isn't it cute? I just love that image. I think it's beautiful. Okay, our next DIY, I got this little blue chunky bird at the Dollar Tree and this little flower candle holder from the Dollar Tree. Now, one of y'all, I'm trying to remember who, gave me this idea. She did this with like a chicken. She said it looked like a nest. And I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. So I'm going to try it. I'm going to mix a little ivory with some Antique Wax by Waverly. Basically just wanted a tan color and I didn't really have anything. And then I'm going to go over the entire candle holder with that to kind of give it more of a nest feel, less of a green feel. So it doesn't matter what color you get. If you're going to paint it, you can make it any color you want. I just flip it over and I'm going to do the same thing here on the other side. And basically, I just want to make a very simple little nest for my little bird to sit on my tier tray. It's going to help it sit up and it's going to kind of make it look cute. Then I distress all over with the Antique Wax by Waverly to give a little bit more brown, a little bit more texture to it. I'm going to do that on the sides as well. Just distressing with the Antique Wax by Waverly to kind of give it that nest feel. Okay, we got that all dried. I thought a little bit of nesting material would look cute in there too to kind of add to it. And so I'm going to use just a little bit of Spanish moss, just a tiny bit, kind of can peek out the sides of the bird to kind of make it look like a nest. And then set my little blue bird on there. The color is perfect for my tier tray. And I think this is going to look really cute on the top of my tier tray as well. Just trimming up any crazy filler that's sticking out. And there we go. Our little bird sitting on a nest. It does look like a nest, right? And here is my little bird. I think it's super sweet and what a great idea. Okay, the next DIY is so easy. This is a garden pick from the spring section at the Dollar Tree. They had a couple different versions. Doesn't really matter which one. This one has flowers on it. I thought it was cute. And it's so easy to use pliers to remove the little pick off these. I've used these in other spring DIYs, and now I have a cute little birdhouse that I can use. I'm going to go ahead and keep the galvanized metal. I think that's cute. But I thought we could use a blue paint pen, kind of this mint green color, and just go in and kind of provide a little bit of color on the flowers. Just to provide a little color, a little fun to the boring galvanized metal. But basically that's the only area I'm going to paint is just that little detail on there. Going to leave the rest of it, the galvanized metal. And then I'm going to take a little Spanish moss to fill inside. It's all open at the bottom to kind of make it look like a nest. And then I'm going to use a little white model magic from the Dollar Tree to just form some little balls and just squish them into a couple little eggs to put in there. You could always use colored Mod Podge if you wanted colored eggs. I'm going to hot glue mine in there so they don't go anywhere. Sometimes I can't find the Model Magic at the Dollar Tree, and I find it at the Dollar General as well, and I think it's even cheaper there. So I think 2 eggs, I'm just going to leave mine white, are going to be super cute in there. I'm just going to kind of glue those in the nesting material, and we have a little birdhouse that is going to be just the perfect size for a tier tray. And it was so easy to put together. So here's our little galvanized metal birdhouse with a few little surprise eggs inside. Okay, now these I just happen to have left over from Easter. I have no idea. I've had these forever. So I'm going to use them because they're kind of perfect, but just kind of showing them to you so you can kind of see how they're put together. If you wanted to kind of make your own eggs and make your own nest, it wouldn't be too hard. And then check out these adorable little birds that I got at the Target dollar spot the other day. They're a little expensive for the size of them. They're $3 a piece. But look how beautiful they are. This one's like aqua, and this one's like a sky blue color. One's kind of standing up, one's kind of leaning down. And normally I'd like them to be like $1.25, like at the Dollar Tree, but they were so cute that I decided to go ahead and go with them. I think they're going to be perfect for the tier tray. I'm going to use this one just as is, but the other one, I thought we could make a little DIY birdhouse using one of these cloches for the shape from the Dollar Tree, and then some of that wired jute also from the Dollar Tree. Now, this was a little experimental. but it worked. So what I'm going to do is use the cloche as it's like the perfect shape for a little tiny birdhouse, right? Just as the shape to kind of make this work. You know, this has the wire in it, so it's going to keep shape. But I kind of need a starting point. And so what I do is just kind of wrap that around my cloche like that. I probably should have glued the ends because the ends of this always frays so badly, especially if you've been working with it a little bit. But I'm going to cut them all a little bit longer here and fold them inside. So I do have a little bit extra to work with if I need to. But I just went around the shape of the cloche with my first one. And then I'm going to start here on my second row, just doing a crisscross like an X shape over my first wire jute. And you're going to want to use some like heavy duty scissors to cut that too. Then I'm going to kind of go in between these two, pull it down, crisscross over the top, cut it down to size, and secure it too. And then I'm going to do it one more time. And it's totally giving me that birdhouse vibe, but I need it to be open with like no plastic in there. So I thought I would take some of the thinner Dollar Tree brown rope to go around the bottom of the bird cage to make a ring. So I have something to attach all of the little wire jute to, and we'll have a little bit of a structure. Now, this step is a little tricky. What I want to do is make sure that the top stays in place. So I grabbed some burlap from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to cut down a little burlap circle, something that's going to match but kind of serve a purpose. And then I'm going to glue that on the very top of my bird cage to each one of those wire jutes to kind of keep it together just for the next step so it doesn't all fall apart. And I'm being careful not to glue it to the plastic cloche because I want to be able to pull that out after my next step, the bird cage. So that looks pretty good. And you can see the fraying that's going on the wire jute. I'm just going to go ahead and glue the rope just to the wire jute, trying to avoid gluing it onto the plastic again. And I'm just going along the base here so that I can cut off all of that extra wire jute that's frayed and that won't cause any problems. So just going all the way around, trying to keep the spacing fairly even as I go until I get to the end, cut it down and kind of glue it to itself there at the end. So we have the structure of the bird cage. Since I used the wire jute, I think it will keep its shape. So I just pull down all of the wires to unhook them from the cloche. And then I have to wiggle it kind of back and forth to get it out because, you know, there were a few areas probably where I glued the rope down that was a little bit glued to it. So just kind of disconnecting those. And then I can just wiggle the little plastic part out. But it did a great job of giving me that exact kind of shape and size that I wanted. So now that I have it all put together, I just have to go around and cut off my extra wire jute, all of the frayed mess there at the end, trying to get it as close to the rope as I can, just to kind of give me a clean edge. And I'm really glad I did this little bird DIY. I think it turned out so cute. I could kind of see it in my head, but I really didn't know if it would work. And I had an extra one of those bee cloches because I planned to make it into a beehive. And so there's our little bird cage. Isn't it cute? Now, the only thing I think it needs is a bird and a base. Now, for the base, I needed something that was about that size, and I kind of wanted something that was wood. And so I'm going to use one of those little wood slice coasters. They have these at the Dollar Tree now, But I actually got this one at Dollar General, I think, before they started carrying them at Dollar Tree. And they're just called coasters. You get like 2 in a package. And I thought like the wood bark would go great with the bird theme. And it's the perfect size. So I'm just going to sit my little Target bird on there and put the little bird cage right on top. Kind of a miniature version of the little bird cage from the dollar spot at Target. And this is how it turned out. And it's just the perfect size for one of these little birds from Target. And here's my little DIY bird cage. Super cute. And don't worry if you can't find like little bird cages and stuff like this, because you can usually DIY just about anything and it turns out really cute. Okay, I found this at the Dollar Tree the other day. I thought it was very spring. It's just a bottle with flowers all over. I like it kind of as is. I thought about kind of putting something in it, but I kind of like the simplicity of just a glass bottle with flowers all over it. Doesn't necessarily have birds on it, but I think it's going to totally go with my like spring vibe on the bottom of my little bird tier tray. So basically, I just removed the tag and it is ready to go. I think the flowers on it are really lovely though. Aren't they pretty? And I am going to do some flowers on this tier tray as well, since it is a spring theme. Now I want to make a little bird sign, and I got these at the spring section at Dollar Tree, these little chalkboard birds. And I'm going to use that other wood slice coaster from Dollar General. But look, see, these are the ones that I got at Dollar Tree the other day. Very similar, almost the same size, maybe a little bit smaller than the coaster ones from Dollar General. And I thought this would make a really cute background for a little bird sign using that little chalkboard bird. I bought those kind of for the structure of the bird ornament, not necessarily for the chalkboard. And so if you flip them over, they're wood on the other side, right? And they're just cute little birds that I thought would be really great size DIY for a tier tray. Kind of like that. And then we can just stand it up. Now, I want to leave like the wood coaster slice, wood. And so I thought I would just go in and paint this. And again, I'm testing out some of that Dollar Tree paint. This is like, I can't remember the color. I think it was called tea something. Now I'm going to have to look it up and put it in the description. But it's a very soft blue. And I'm just kind of looking for, a very light, rough, stain on this, so it actually worked great. And you get a pretty large bottle of it for $1.25 at the Dollar Tree. Ready to attach my little bird to my little wood slice. And it does have that little hole in it because it was an ornament. So I'm going to use one of the little ornament hangers that came with it and just tie a very simple little finger bow just to cover that up. Just a decorative little tip to cover those annoying little holes without having to spackle it or anything like that. And I thought this was just a very simple, rustic little bird DIY that we can use on my tier tray for spring. Now I do want it to stand up, so I'm going to use a couple of those mini Jenga blocks from the Dollar Tree and just kind of glue a couple of them together. And then to the back of the wood slice. And we have just a very simple little standing sign. It doesn't take much to stand that up. Super simple, but I think it turned out really cute. Here is our little bird sign. I love it. I love the simplicity of it, and it gives me a pop of blue on my tier tray. Okay, our next DIY, I'm going to use one of these little wood birdhouses from the Dollar Tree. They have different ones. This one's got like the 2 holes, the 2 perches, doesn't matter. But these are the perfect size for a tier tray, especially for a bird theme. I'm going to go over the whole thing with some Antique Wax by Waverly, and then I'm going to wipe it off with a baby wipe because I kind of want that medium wood finish not necessarily like a dark stain on that. And I'm going to do that all over. I just wanted a very rustic looking little birdhouse that's going to go well on this tier tray. So I'm going to go ahead and like do all 4 sides, also underneath the roof line, trying to cover up all of the raw wood, and then following that up with a baby wipe, kind of make it a little bit lighter. You guys know I love my Antique Wax by Waverly. It's just so much faster and easier than staining. And then I'm going to use the excess to kind of do the base as well, the top of the base. And then I'm going to put it up on something, so I thought I might as well try to stain the bottom as well, just so none of the exposed raw wood is visible. Now, I told you I wanted it to look rustic, right? So I'm also going to go over it and distress it with ivory all over to give me that like chippy wood, weathered, kind of like farmhouse vibe on this. Wiping the excess off with the baby wipe, blending it in, and it really made it look old and weathered, which was the look I was going for. Now, I think it looks pretty good like that. I did want to add a touch of color though, so I'm using like a mint green paint pen, and I'm just doing like the edges in that color just to bring in a little bit of blue. And I just outline a few things just to bring in a few pops of color, but mainly it's just going to be the stained wood. So I go around the base and the roof line with it. I'm also going to outline the little holes in the birdhouse just to provide a little color there. I already colored in like the tips of the little perches as well, just to make it more fun. Then we're going to make a base with those Dollar Tree Jenga blocks again. I kind of like these that have like the 2 different colors of the Jenga blocks. They're kind of cool. And I'm going to use like a combination of 6 of them to make kind of a big enough base to hold this up, but give it a little bit of height. I want to use this on the bottom of my tier tray, and I want it to be big enough. So I'm just going to make a base. I glue 3 together, and then 3 together, and then I'm going to glue those together side by side to make the perfect size little stand for our little birdhouse. And I'm going to go ahead and leave them that stain. I have a kind of a plan to disguise those, and I thought it would be cute if they look like they were covered in moss. So I'm just going to use some reindeer moss from the Dollar Tree and just kind of crazily glue that all over the 4 sides. That's going to be visible. It's going to kind of cover up the seams there and those little Jenga blocks. Just make it look a little bit more uniform, and I like the pop of color with the green moss coming in there. So just all 4 sides. And now we can attach that to our little birdhouse. Just a little hot glue on top and stick it on there. Super cute. Now you could kind of see inside the birdhouse a little bit there, where there's like raw wood inside. And I do want it to look like, you know, it is an occupied birdhouse. So I'm going to take a little Spanish moss from the Dollar Tree and just kind of pop that in the holes of the birdhouse, just to give it that little nest feel. I'm not going to do eggs or anything in this one. It's kind of too small, I think. I don't think you'd be able to see them. But that looks cool, and it's a nice contrast against the green moss on there, I think. So there's our little rustic wood birdhouse. I love the little touches of the blue or mint green color. I think that just makes it pop a little bit, and the little stand covered in moss. Perfect for the tier tray. Now, I found this at the Dollar Tree. They had like these in like butterflies, different animals, but I love the bird one. It's like a lighter color of wood, and it's got like blue, pink, and orange flowers cut out on it. It's so cute, and it's the perfect size for a tier tray. It's already got a stand. I'm going to dip a baby wipe and a little Antique Wax by Waverly, and we're going to do a very simple little medium stain, doing it that way over the existing wood that was on there. You can still see the wood grain through it, but it's going to make it look a little bit darker to match the finishes on the other DIYs we're doing today. So that was simple, really easy. Then I'm going to distress the flowers because they're a little bright with a little ivory, just to tone them down a little bit. And there's our little bird. I think it's so cute for our tier tray, and it's very colorful for spring. I think that's going to look great with everything else we made. And this is another one of those wood signs from the Dollar Tree. I love these. This is the same medium wood color as the first one that we made for the top of the tier tray. And then I got some of these little mirror wall stickers from the Dollar Tree with this little bird and flowers. And I thought it would be perfect to make a little bird sign for our tier tray. Now, whenever you DIY these little mirror things, they do have a film over them. Sometimes I forget because it's a little hard. You got to kind of scratch them with your fingernail just to get it started and then peel that off, and it's going to give you that mirror finish. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck kind of painting directly on the plastic wrap, which you're not really supposed to. Then I'm going to use that same light blue paint from the Dollar Tree. And we are going to kind of paint that in one direction with a brush. It is going to leave a little bit of a brush stroke through with the mirror showing through. So I do go over it with a couple coats to make it have a little bit better coverage. Now, be careful if you're using a heat gun to dry these, because I kind of melted mine a little bit. I didn't know they were so fragile, but you'll see in the final result. I totally melted mine a little bit. But I'm going to kind of do the same exact layout they had, because I think it's going to be the perfect size if I were to use this sign like vertically like this on my tier tray. Some flowers. I used a little bit of hot glue, even though they were already stickers. You might not want to, because I didn't know they were heat sensitive. Luckily, I was only using a small amount. Another flower right here. And then the other one is like a branch of flowers. They're all kind of connected. And it's going to fit perfectly up here at top. And there is our little bird sign. I did try to go in there with my heat gun a little bit to make sure it was dry. And you can see a little warping on top right there. That's what happened with my heat gun. It started to melt and kind of warp a little bit. So you might not want to use heat on these at all. Lesson learned. But I think it turned out super cute. What do you think? Okay, another DIY. I found this in the spring section at the Dollar Tree, these adorable little birdhouses. I thought we could paint this with that Dollar Tree blue paint as well. And kind of distress it, make it look old too. But look how cute it is with a little bird cutout on front. I thought that'd be perfect for a bird tier tray. They have these in like different styles. I was just looking at them there today. They have like different flowered ones and stuff as well. I'm going to go over all of the actual birdhouse itself with that blue paint. And then I plan on staining the top of the roof with some Antique Wax by Waverly, kind of making it two-toned. This paint is thin enough where it kind of provides a little bit of a stain. And some of the areas don't want to paint too well, but that's okay because I'm going for kind of like a rustic vibe on this. So I think it's going to work. I'm just trying to make sure that I have everything covered, including the base with the blue. And it has like a little rope hanger on there. I think that's cute. It's kind of in the way, but I'm going to leave it there. And then I'm just going to use a baby wipe that I dipped in Antique Wax by Waverly. On the roof, it's going to give us that same medium wood stain. Super easy. And then I'm also going to use that to distress the rest of the blue birdhouse, kind of all over, just to make it look weathered and a little bit older. Have a little bit more character, right? And you can always go back in there with your original color if you think that you've distressed a little heavy. It's so cute. I love it. And it's really the perfect size for a tier tray. It's just the right height. I think it's going to look really cute. I do put a little bit of Spanish moss inside, kind of like I did with the other one, to kind of make it look like birds have been nesting in there. Kind of threw the bird cut out there. I think it's ready to go, and I think it's perfect for my bird theme. Here is our little birdhouse. And I'm loving the color. Super cute. Okay, now I wanted some greenery, and Dollar Tree is really stepping up the game on the greenery. This is eucalyptus, so I thought I would cut this down into smaller pieces here. And we can kind of use these all over the tier tray. It's going to give me that kind of like tree vibe that I'm going for with all of my birds. So I just cut that down into 3 longer pieces. I'll probably use those on the bottom since they're rather large. But aren't they cute? And then I also got this little pick at the Dollar Tree as well. And what I'm going to do on this one is just kind of pull these off. This is kind of like a shorter, squatty version of some greenery. And these are going to be perfect for the top and any of the little spots all around the tier tray that need a little touch of greenery. And then since it's spring, I wanted some flowers, and I wanted to do that kind of light pink flower that was on the bird canvas. So I'm using these little dogwood flowers from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to pull them off. I want lots of them because I want to be able to scatter those all over the tier tray to bring in a little color and a little spring to our bird DIYs. Now is the fun part. We get to decorate this tier tray. I love that garland along the outside. I think that's super cute and perfect for spring. First, we're going to add the little bird canvas on the wood sign that we crafted up here to the top. I like that it's nice and low, but it looks really rustic and cute with that canvas on there. Our little bluebird here in our little nest. Super easy to make and a great use for those little candle holders. Over here, we're going to put our galvanized metal birdhouse with a little bird nest right inside. And then the little bird nest over here, I always get those out every spring. One of our little ceramic birds from Target. I'm thinking this is looking really cute. It just needs a little bit of greenery up here at the top. We're going to do some of this boxwood and a little pink flower here. And maybe one more over here to coordinate with that beautiful bird canvas. I've crafted with that a couple of times here on my channel. I really love that bird canvas. Down here on the bottom, we have our little DIY bird cage with another little bird right inside. Super fun little DIY that was really easy to do. And over here, we're going to do that beautiful spring glass. Isn't that so pretty? Glass face. Maybe another nest right here. Perfect for the bird theme. And working our way around, we have our little wood slice that we decorated with a little blue bird on the front. Super cute. And I like the bow on there. It actually adds to it. Our little birdhouse DIY with little light blue touches with moss and a little nest inside. Looks like it is being used. And one of our little birds that we got at the Dollar Tree, the little wood bird with the flowers, perfect for spring. And working our way around, we have our little bird and flower DIY using those little mirror stickers. I'm going to toss another one of the little bird nests right here in front. And then I need a little bit more room here to decorate with this blue birdhouse, the cutout. I love that. That's probably my favorite wood birdhouse from the Dollar Tree that I've ever gotten there. I think it's so pretty. Now it's time for filler. We're just going to fill it in again with some of the boxwood and the pink flowers until this is complete. Anytime I have any open areas on tier tray, I always like to try to do something that goes with a theme or greenery. So greenery for spring goes together perfectly. And this was such a fun tier tray to make. It's definitely one of my favorite tier trays that I've made here on my channel. I think it's so cute. I love the blue eggs, the blue birds everywhere, but then you also have the contrast of the little pink flowers that we can scatter all over. Super cute and really puts me in the mood for spring. It was really fun to make. So many fun touches and items that you can use from the Dollar Tree and even the dollar spot at Target. This is one side of it. I love a good round tier tray like this. You could add this to your table for a centerpiece. It's going to be beautiful from all angles, and I think it looks really nice. What do you guys think about the bird theme today? I think it was a really fun theme for spring DIYs, and I had so much fun putting all these together for you. I really hope you enjoyed today's video.